25 years after the Bofors case rocked India, the man who helped blow the lid off the scandal has revealed his identity. The former chief of the Swedish Police, Sten Lindstrom, who led the investigations into the case, has given an interview to Subramanian, the journalist who originally exposed the scandal 25 years ago. In the interview carried by the Hoot website, Lindstrom has said there was conclusive evidence against Italian businessman Ottavio Quattrocchi. This is in complete contrast to the CBI's stand. Remember that there wasn't enough proof to prosecute the Italian businessman. The Lindstrom has gone on to reveal that there was no evidence to prove that former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi received a bribe in the procurement of the Bofors L-39 howitzers. However, Lindstrom says that Rajiv Gandhi did nothing as a massive cover-up was on in India and Sweden over the gun deal. The whistleblower had leaked over 350 Bofors-related documents to the journalist 25 years ago that helped originally expose the 65 crore rupee bribery and kickback scandal. Meanwhile, the Congress responded by saying that the case had hurt the Gandhi family extensively. Law Minister Salman Khurshid added that the party welcomed whatever Lindstrom had to say about Rajiv Gandhi. Well, the revelations, as you can imagine, have kicked up a political storm yet again, with leaders demanding an explanation from the government, an indication of the kind of potency the Bofors scam still has.
इसमें कोई आश्चर्य नहीं है। मैं तो पहले ही कहता था, जब मैं मिनिस्टर था चंद्रशेखर गवर्नमेंट में, तब भी कहता था कि राजीव गांधी ने नहीं दिया। मैंने तो उसको राजीव गांधी को खुद एक बार कहा था कि इट लुक्स एज इफ you got the boot and they got the loot, माने वो ले गए और आपको बाहर कर दिया। और उस समय मेरी बड़ी आलोचना भी हुई थी। वीपी सिंह के वो एक खास मंत्री थे जयपाल रेड्डी, आजकल सोनिया के साथ हैं। वो बड़े हंगामा करते थे पार्लियामेंट में कि मैं राजीव गांधी का साथ मिला हुआ हूँ एटसेट्रा। ये मैंने सीबीआई को मैंने एक 150 पन्ने के दस्तावेज दी कि वो उस पर जांच करें। नए मटेरियल्स निकले हैं, इनकम टैक्स के ट्राइब्यूनल ने भी कई अच्छे मटेरियल निकाल के दिया है क्वाट्रोची के बारे, सोनिया गांधी के बारे। तो मैं तो ये समझता हूं कि नई जांच शुरू होनी चाहिए, और यदि सीबीआई हमारी बात को नहीं मानेगी तो फिर हम निश्चित तौर पर यही करेंगे कि हम कोर्ट में जाकर एक नया कोर्ट केस के लिए मांग करेंगे।
Timing of this revelation is also questionable. Some people can question that also. What is this timing? Why he was waiting for such a long time to tell all these stories? Number one. Number two, yes, it exonerates some people. The revelation, the present revelation, exonerates some people. Those people will have some relief. But the present revelation also nails down on the fact that Mr. Quattrocchi was given safe passage. The political parties cannot say anything on that. Only CBI and government can say anything about that. We will have to verify the veracity of this report. We will have to check the facts.
Mr. Martin Odobo, the MD of Bofors, had written in his own notes and also confirmed his interrogation to Mr. Lindstrom that the name of Quattrocchi should not be revealed at any cost because of his proximity with Mr. Rajiv Gandhi. और हम अपेक्षा करेंगे कि क्वाट्रोक्की की भूमिका के बारे में इंडिपेंडेंट जांच होगी, और साथ ही सीबीआई के उन सारे इन्वेस्टिगेटर्स की भूमिका के बारे में भी जांच होगी जिन्होंने एक कोल्यूसिव रिपोर्ट दिया।
All right, we have with us to talk about this in newsrooms right across the country. Everyone's talking about Bofors. Just really proof that this is the one story in India that fails to lose any of its appeal, any of its potency, any of its journalistic value. Even privileged to be joined on this debate this evening by Subramanian Swamy. She joins us live in fact, from Geneva. She's the journalist, remember, as a correspondent for The Hindu, who broke this story originally in the 1980s. We also have with us Manishankar Iyer, Rajya Sabha member and senior Congress leader. He'll be speaking to us as well. We have former director of the CBI, Joginder Singh. He knows a thing or two about the investigations, the very expansive investigations that have followed into the allegations into the Bofors scam. And also here in our Delhi studios, privileged to be joined by Subramanian Swamy. Thank you for joining us, sir. He'll be giving us a perspective as well. He served as Law Minister shortly after the Bofors scam actually broke. I'd like to start with Chitra Subramanian. Chitra, before I get into the specifics of what Sten Lindstrom has said to you in this interview, you've given him the luxury of hindsight, of time and distance. As the journalist who originally broke the story, and as a journalist who's tracked the story over 25 years, what has been your takeaway from what Mr. Lindstrom has said now?
First, I think I did not break the story. The story was broken by two Swedish journalists, Jan Mosander and Börje Rendahl, who worked for the Swedish state radio. I just followed it up like hundreds of other journalists. So that credit must go to the Swedish state radio. Yeah. As far as the takeaway 25 years later, you go through all kinds of, you go through the whole process. I think the takeaway is that, as Mr. Lindstrom said, if something is closed in a false way, it will bleed the system. And I think there are some lessons for us in that. For me, as a former journalist, I'm no longer a journalist. I watch investigations. I watch how, where I was trained, how people work, and I think we have some way to go. And also some lessons learned about, how we cover one of the big stories.
Okay, let me bring in Manishankar Iyer now. Mr. Iyer, Sten Lindstrom says in that interview to Chitra that there was no evidence, that Rajiv Gandhi had received any part of that bribe. In that sense, it is being looked at as a kind of clean chit from the man who revealed all this information originally. But he does say that Rajiv Gandhi pretty much looked the other way when this massive cover-up operation was actually, going on both in India and Sweden. What do you think about that?
There's nothing new about this gentleman. He has been leaking selectively his version of the story, and his version of the story has been changing over time. The one constant with which I have remained for all the 25 years that Chitra has remained on the story is that Rajiv Gandhi was not bribed, that he didn't need to take a bribe for taking a decision which was entirely in the national interest. The fact that it was in the national interest was borne out at the time of Kargil, when if we didn't have the Bofors guns, we would not have been able to win that war so easily. And everything that has emerged ever since then, and even during that time, showed that yes, there was a conspiracy involving Mr. Ardbo, who was desperate to pay somebody because the man did business in that dirty way. And there are two filthy countries. One is Sweden, which cannot do business which doesn't know business without giving bribes. And the other is Switzerland, which wouldn't be so prosperous if it wasn't the recipient of vast amounts of illegal money from all kinds of filthy sources. These two countries got together and decided to prosper themselves. But none of these people ever believed that Rajiv Gandhi was completely sincere when he said there should be no middlemen and no payments. And because he was not involved with middlemen and he was not involved with payments, obviously his first reaction when the story broke in Swedish radio was that none of it was true. Then, when the Swedish National Audit Bureau came out and said, yes, it was true, immediately attempts were made to contact these people to find out if they would tell what was the story. And they agreed eventually to come to India and tell the story, but on strict condition that nothing that was told to the Prime Minister of India would be used by the Prime Minister of India against the guilty people. And this meant that they were attempting to make Rajiv Gandhi an accomplice after the fact. And Rajiv refused that. And all the time maintained for a year and for about 2.5 years after this that he was completely innocent, he didn't know what was happening. But there was a conspiracy of the press.
Okay.
And it's Chitra who's really revealed this conspiracy of the press. That stories she was sending were being edited by her editor, who has since become a very good friend of mine. But he apparently believed in suppressio veri and suggestio falsi. With the result that a completely distorted story was put out, which resulted in not only the tragedy of Rajiv Gandhi losing the election, but the even bigger tragedy of VP Singh and his cohorts coming into power. Well, it is quite clear that the chief conspirator was N. The important thing to find out is who was N. Lekin kyunki chor sabse zyada shor karta hai, he joined the conspirators instead of revealing that the N in the Artbo diaries is none other than N himself.
Okay, Subramanian Swamy, I'm going to bring him in right now. I see you laughing. You obviously have something to say, Mr. Swamy. But one thing that you do agree with Mr. Iyer on is on Rajiv Gandhi himself, the fact that he didn't take a bribe.
Agreement is a very strong word. I had been making statements from...
And you were the law minister in VP Singh's
Yes, I was not VP Singh's government, it was Chandrasekhar's government. I have been saying consistently always that Rajiv Gandhi didn't get a bribe. And in fact, I was attacked by my fellow opposition leaders who are now ministers in the UPA government, like Jaipal Reddy, who was perhaps the most stringent in attacking me as a man who is in conspiracy with Rajiv Gandhi. Now, the issue is not that. In fact, I had told Rajiv Gandhi himself on his, since I was a good friend of mine, I told him that they got the loot and you got the boot. Essentially, that's the essential problem. He knew bribe was being paid. The delegation that went with him, and the RAW has a complete file which I had seen at that time, to Stockholm. Walter Vinci was there. Quattrocchi was there. And there was a deadline of April 1 that had to be met. And therefore, once this was this agreement was agreed to, and Walter Vinci's work was only that, to force Rajiv Gandhi to sign, which Rajiv Gandhi did. Whether he regretted it later or not, I will not go into this personal.
But what about the cover-up? He talks about a cover-up, and so the
cover-up issue arises. It's a very wide issue. The cover-up started by not registering an FIR immediately, because here a credible information of a Swedish government radio comes. Then it was where VP Singh sets it up, but in that government is Arun Nehru, and then nothing happens. Then Mr. Narasimha Rao comes. In our government time also we had a problem. Because some of the people, there was an occasion when an additional Solicitor General out of brief made a statement which we, of course, we changed them and restored the position. Then Narasimha Rao's time, 1993, the Swiss authorities announced that Quattrocchi had received kickbacks. And Quattrocchi escaped. The files show that a Minister of State in charge of CBI had issued that order. That don't arrest Quattrocchi. Then the cover-up came in Malaysia. The council who was chosen to select, to defend the CBI case for extradition, was selected by Quattrocchi. So there's cover-up all throughout. Why only Rajiv Gandhi?
Manishankar Iyer, Chitra says we should take blame as a nation. We should move on now. It's been 25 years. You know, pretty much just close this and let's just move on. But even though the case is finished, investigations aren't really happening. The fact is that Ottavio Quattrocchi, the prime accused in this entire bribery case, Mr. Iyer, is still not in Indian custody. He hasn't faced justice at all. Do you, in light of that, do you think it's fair to suggest that we should just stop this and just move on, forget about the Bofors scandal and move on?
Please, put this thing into perspective. Whatever the CBI may have started in January 1990, long before this, the Swedes started through the Swedish Investigation Agency, their investigation into all that happened. And their final report, a lot of it came out in October 1989, just as we were readying to go into the election. And from the evidence that was produced at that time and published in both the Hindu and the Indian Express. The key agency that was supposed to be responsible for ensuring that the bribe took place, the middleman, AE Services, the financial director of Bofors, said that when the SIA people were investigating him, quote, they did not press me on AE. Now that's right. The Swedish investigation agency, which was the one which was most responsible, because after all the story had broken in Sweden, came to a dead end themselves. Then, after the government of India decided for purely political and vindictive reasons to file an FIR in January of 1990 and put Mr. Arun Jaitley, who's now the leader of the opposition, in charge, they went running around all over the place, made a complete ass of themselves, produced letters rogatory that had things written in pencil, other pieces of paper stuck upon it, and no wonder the Swedish court just threw the whole thing out. Then thereafter, the vindictiveness has continued. In repeated governments, and the Congress was not in power from 1996 to 2004, opposition governments, that is non-Congress governments, have tried to build some credibility into this totally baseless story that Rajiv Gandhi was involved. Now today Chitra says that she never accused Rajiv, but all the paper to which she was writing and the other editors in the Indian Express were involved in doing nothing, defaming Rajiv Gandhi, saying he had taken his bribe to buy a wrong gun. Now on both points, he didn't take any money, he bought the best gun possible. Why do you want to flog this completely dead horse? It has been through the courts have not solved it, and I am not concerned with whether Ottavio Quattrocchi is to be caught or not. Ottavio Quattrocchi is a businessman who, like all businessmen, is a dirty fellow. I had nothing to do with him. We had nothing to do with him. It is Rajiv Gandhi who was accused, lost his prime ministership and then lost his life. And the people who are responsible for spreading this lie were also the ones responsible for withdrawing his security cover and causing his martyrdom. Anyway, all that is long over, and for the last 20 years, the principal accused in this matter by the media, Rajiv Gandhi, has been dead. And again, the courts have said that there is nothing that they can do further. And the incompetence of the CBI, the incompetence of the Solicitor General's office has resulted in all the time people saying the matter is closed. And in any case, according to our law, a person who died cannot have any further proceedings against him. The case is, why are we picking up this story? Because some deep throat who is handing over 350 documents now wishes to have reflections.
No, but the things he says are important, Mr. Right. Just give me a moment.
What does he say that's important?
Just give me a moment, Mr.
From my point of view, the main important thing is that Rajiv Gandhi was accused of taking a bribe and buying a wrong gun. And on both the counts, this gentleman, Mr. Lindstrom, now exculpates. Let me just give you a moment. Just give me a moment, Mr. Iyer. I'll come back to you in just a minute. I want to give Joginder Singh a chance to respond, but just before that, since I put the same question to both Manishankar Iyer and Chitra Subramanian, Subramanian Swamy,
never accused
the case may have been thrown out in Sweden. The case may be complete as far as Indian courts are concerned. But Subramanian Swamy, sitting here with me in the Headlines Today studio, plans to take it forward. His work is not done just yet. Yes, Mr. Swamy, you said the story is definitely not over. You're trying to do something about it in July.
I've already given about 100 odd pages of documentation, fresh documentation to the CBI in February. I asked them to register an FIR, start the matter fresh. They have not replied to me. They orally say that we are bound by the closure report, but there is no law which says a closed case cannot be reopened if new evidence comes. The income tax has given a clear indication that Quattrocchi owes a lot of money on the money he made on the AE services. So there is plenty, and I certainly in July you will see me in court on this.
Joginder Singh, quick response.
My response is, I think what Subramanian Swamy says is my good friend and Manishankar, they are right in their own way. But the fact remains, bribes and past, I will only tell the government of India, through your channel, please legalize the middlemen, because, you know, I don't say that you can't beat them, giant them. There will always be bribe.
That's a larger point,
where army chief was offered recently 14 crores here. So So this should continue. Why not we legalize the whole damn thing here and let the government of India get the benefit? That's what I like to say here. So as Rajiv Gandhi is concerned, CBI never had a case that he took money.
Okay,
There's no doubt on that.
Okay, I have just enough time for some quick last points. Clearly, there are lots of details that must be argued. I want closing comments from all three of you. I'd like to start with Mr. Swamy about whether the case. You obviously don't think the case can be buried. You've got a lot of work left on your plate. But is it time to move on, or we need to stick with this?
There's no question of moving on. These matters have to be brought to a closure. We must. There's no question of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi being held responsible, except the way Manmohan Singh is held responsible for 2G. The same way he watched the thing happen. But you cannot say that he didn't know what was going on. And we know who knew what was going on. The issue is Mr. Quattrocchi was the kingpin in this, along with the ex-brother-in-law, Mr. Walter Vinci. They have to be brought to book.
Okay, last 30 seconds, 15 seconds each to Joginder Singh and Manishankar. Joginder Singh, quick last comments. Should we stop? Should we bury this case and just move on?
No, you should not bury this case. We should continue pursuing it here. But the law ministry's role should be transparent here. The Quattrocchi's advocate in Argentina produced the documents, internal documents of law ministry. How did they reach him? When he was questioned, he said, I won't tell you where I got it here. So, government should be not only vigilant, whatever may be the means here. He has received bribe, $7.32 million. Papers are with the government, papers are with the CBI. Papers are filed in Delhi High Court with the Department of Personnel.
Okay, Joginder Singh,
this should be continued.
Completely out of time.
Recover the money from before, if nothing else.
Okay, completely out of time, whether we can recover the money. Manishankar, 20 seconds, final comments, please, sir.
Well, the only thing that is really relevant is that Rajiv Gandhi was innocent. And I expect everybody who said that he was guilty or pretended that he was guilty to now state categorically and without any arrière pensée that this man was an innocent man who was hounded by sections of the press and eventually lost his life owing to a conspiracy between opposition politicians and a section of the media.
Alright, I'm sure there will be a lot of people who will be willing to do that, Mr. Iyer, but I'm sure there will be a lot of people who simply won't be willing to do that at this point. But we leave it there. This is a story that we're going to keep a track of. Manishankar Iyer has said that he plans to take this legally forward as well. So the one thing we can be sure about is that the Bofors scam case isn't quite over just yet. It may have been thrown out in Sweden and here, but it's not over just yet. We'll keep a track of that. Subramanian Swamy, Manishankar Iyer, Joginder Singh and Chitra Subramanian, for a pleasure discussing this story with
SD कि वो उस पर जांच करें. नए मटेरियल्स निकले हैं. इनकम टैक्स के ट्राइब्यूनल ने भी कई अच्छे मटेरियल निकाल के दिया है क्वाट्रोची के बारे, सोनिया गांधी के बारे. तो मैं तो ये समझता हूं कि नई जांच शुरू होनी चाहिए और यदि सीबीआई हमारी बात को नहीं मानेगी तो फिर हम निश्चित तौर पर यही करेंगे कि हम कोर्ट में जाकर एक नया कोर्ट केस के लिए मांग करेंगे.
Timing of this revelation is also questionable. Some people can question that also. What is this timing? Why he was waiting for such a long time to tell all these stories? Number one. Number two, yes, it exonerates some people. The revelation, the present revelation, exonerates some people. Those people will have some relief. But the present revelation also nails down on the fact that Mr. Quattrocchi was given safe passage. The political parties cannot say anything on that. Only CBI and government can say anything about that. We will have to verify the veracity of this report. We will have to check the facts.
Mr. Martin Odobo, the MD of Bofors, had written in his own notes and also confirmed his interrogation to Mr. Lindstrom.
39. Howard says, however, Lindstrom says that Rajiv Gandhi did nothing as a massive cover-up was on in India and Sweden over the gun deal. The whistleblower had leaked over 350 Bofors-related documents to the journalist 25 years ago that helped originally expose the 65 crore rupee bribery and kickback scandal. Meanwhile, the Congress responded by saying that the case had hurt the Gandhi family extensively. Law Minister Salman Khurshid added that the party welcomed whatever Lindstrom had to say about Rajiv Gandhi. Well, the revelations, as you can imagine, have kicked up a political storm yet again, with leaders demanding an explanation from the government, an indication of the kind of potency the Bofors scam still has.
इसमें कोई आश्चर्य नहीं है। मैं तो पहले ही कहता था, जब मैं मिनिस्टर था चंद्रशेखर गवर्नमेंट में, तब भी कहता था कि राजीव गांधी ने नहीं दिया। मैंने तो उसको, राजीव गांधी को खुद एक बार कहा था कि इट लुक्स एज इफ यू गॉट द बूट एंड दे गॉट द लूट, माने वो ले गए और आपको बाहर कर दिया। और उस समय मेरी बड़ी आलोचना भी हुई थी। वीपी सिंह के वो एक खास मंत्री थे जयपाल रेड्डी, आजकल सोनिया के साथ हैं। वो बड़े हंगामा करते थे पार्लियामेंट में कि मैं राजीव गांधी का साथ मिला हुआ हूँ एटसेट्रा। ये मैंने सीबीआई को मैंने एक 150 पन्ने के दस्तावेज।
25 years after the Bofors case rocked India, the man who helped blow the lid off the scandal has revealed his identity. The former chief of the Swedish Police, Sten Lindstrom, who led the investigations into the case, has given an interview to Chitra Subramanian, the journalist who originally exposed the scandal 25 years ago. In the interview carried by the Hoot website, Lindstrom has said there was conclusive evidence against Italian businessman Ottavio Quattrocchi. This is in complete contrast to the CBI's stand. Remember that there wasn't enough proof to prosecute the Italian businessman. The Lindstrom has gone on to reveal that there was no evidence to prove that former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi received a bribe in the procurement of the Bofors LP.